Welcome, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to do a comparison of the Laphroaig 18-year-old versus its replacement, I'm guessing, the Laphroaig Lore. So, two whiskeys from Laphroaig, Isle Distillery, that we're huge fans of. The Laphroaig 18, which I've always loved. I've bought 50 of these bottles in my lifetime. And again, its replacement, the NAS Lore.
Yep.
Dustin, the 18 comes in at 48% ABV, and the Lore comes in, I believe, at 48% ABV, and it does. So, you know, both of these whiskeys, when they were around here and readily available, the Lore still is, were always about $100.
Lore started to go up a little bit with the tariffs, but...
Yeah, you know, that was the original game plan, about $100, $110 whiskey for the most part. The 18 was a staple in my bar at all times. I guess it still is, but, you know, it's getting harder and harder to find these one. And again, the Lore is something we can still pick up. Both these, again, were always around the $100 price range. So what we're going to do is, when we're sitting here drinking them, we're going to move the bottles over here. And since Lore is Dustin's bottle and the 18 is my bottle, that will also be represented in the two glasses we have here. So 18, Lore. Also very easy to tell that the Lore is quite a bit darker than the normal 18 Laphroaig because it has more, I would guess, more of a sherry cask influence in it.
I believe there's a decent bit of sherry. And as we know, the Lore, when they first came out, the discussion was there was some 20-plus-year-old whiskey.
Sherry whiskey.
I even heard at one point somebody hinted there could even be some 30.
Yeah,
it's not published anywhere. I can't validate it, but...
Yeah, I heard some of the sherry casks were like 21, 22-year-old whiskeys, you know, in the first batch, and they had quarter casks. This is going back to Lore. Yeah. Where the our traditional 18-year-old is, I believe, is just ex-bourbon barrels. Yeah. You know, and this one here, very similar, or maybe very little sherry, similar to the 25-year-old expression. Yep. But yeah, the 18 was always just a gem that I always loved. Oh, yeah. You know, I've wanted to do this comparison for quite some time just to see, for the same price range, how much quality difference is there really from what used to be the best Laphroaig other than the 25 locally compared to what now is the best Laphroaig.
Yeah, now I will say the bottles are about the same level. The Lore's a little lower. I will tell you this Lore has been open for 4 years.
Oh, really? How long?
It's been open since it came out. So I haven't finished it because I was kind of holding on to it.
I always like the black label on that one.
Yeah.
Just like the old 25s, it makes it look dark. It's a dark green, I think, actually, not black, but makes it look so much darker.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I don't know if it's natural color or not, but
darker whiskey.
Darker whiskey for sure. And
let's get into it.
Yeah. So we start with the 18.
Let's start with the 18, just because it probably
original?
the original.
Oh, I love it.
God, such a beast of a whiskey. I mean, everything, cereals are here, smoke is here, maritime is here.
I get lemon lime.
Lemon lime is here.
Oh man, I get just a beautiful lemon lime. Oh man, I mean, there's a depth to this. I mean, you can tell there's old whiskey. It wouldn't shock me if there's older whiskey in the 18.
I would imagine there is. And again, at 48% ABV, really driving home all those flavors.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being at the beach and you're just smelling the waves coming in and splashing on the shore, and you got like a lemon lime, mojito or something like sitting over there. I'm getting all of that.
Yeah, with a little bit of maritime salt with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, again, that's the waves are crashing. You're getting that just sea breeze with saltiness.
And you get that cereal characteristics there too.
Yeah, there's definitely like a Cheerios or something.
Barley rich. Vanilla's now coming up in it.
Yeah, you can tell it's sweetening up as we go. With a little less citrus, a little more sweetness.
Just an excellent nose.
Yeah, I mean, this smells like old whiskey.
A little bit of TPC.
And in our world, our view, I would generally say 18 is just before you start getting into old whiskey.
20-plus-year-old is old whiskey.
I'm with you there. So the 18's always come off just below that. This one doesn't. This one is smelling to me like we're into old whiskey.
God, this was such a good whiskey when it was regularly available.
Man, you can imagine just picking this up for $100 today.
I mean, dude, I'm telling you, for years, this and the Macallan Cask Strength were both $98 and $88 respectively. Yeah. And just in every store I went to in Columbus, Ohio, being shelves of them.
Yeah, I mean, this is just...
Should have bought every one I could. All right, let's go to the Lore.
Yep.
Great whiskey, great nose on that 18. Beautiful nose. That nose is an 88, 89 out of 100 all day.
I agree. It might be 90. All right, this is much more oaked.
It's obviously more sherry.
Yeah, this is like a European oak, though. It's coming off here.
It's not as punchy, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't jump out the glass as much as the 18 does.
I mean, I'm getting a little bit of cinnamon.
You're getting that quarter cask. That quarter cask is obvious. And
the oak is definitely here. It's weird because I'm getting like older, like European first fill, second fill type sherry notes. And I'm also getting some hints of youth. I'm definitely getting some younger, getting more of the youthful Laphroaig still, which I know a lot of people actually prefer in their Laphroaig. I'm getting that big time here.
Yeah, I'm getting that quarter cask buttery wood note along with that sherry. So it's more sherried, but then also younger. And then also, again, that buttery quarter cask butter oil note. Almost like the Carchus quarter cask, the one with the brown label that was cask strength. I'm also getting that level of buttery oak.
I mean, I'm getting triple wood and I'm getting wintergreen.
A little bit of pine, you're right.
Pine too. Wintergreen and pine, absolutely.
Oh, you meant wintergreen gum.
Gum, yeah. Well, I'm getting the pine notes you're talking about too there.
Yeah, I get more pine than wintergreen. I'm not really picking the wintergreen at this point, but pine needles for sure.
I get a little bit of mint.
And not dry pine needles either. Have I told you about Frisbee Golf? Like a couple of places we have up here in Columbus, and one went through a forest. Anyway, one went through a forest. We were playing Frisbee Golf, and you had to go. At one point, you had to walk through like this area where there were pine trees, and you know they're dead, probably not dead, but there's no branches at this point because the trees are so old. No branches until you get about 15 feet up. So you walk through, and it's easy to walk through, and the whole floor is just covered with those old pine needles.
Yeah,
a little bit of that.
We even get a little bit of tea notes, like black tea.
Lipton black tea. You know I love tea.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's definitely a little black tea, a little mint, wintergreen, pine needles.
Okay, but now as I go back to it, you're right. Instantly, the 18 comes off older, more refined, more aristocratic, and that's hard to say with something that I generally think of as just an absolute slap to the face as far as an overall nosing experience.
Yeah. Now I will say this is giving me more of like refilled barrels. I don't think these are first fill barrels. I think these have been reused. I'm not getting as much influence. This is not as bold a nose, but it is older. It is more refined. Even though I think we listed more things in the lore, that's the combination of young and old, I think, kind of creating obvious notes. There's more to it. It's more nuanced. It's more depth.
Okay, do me a favor. Sniff the 18.
Okay.
And then go right into the lore and tell me that's not green grass.
In the lore, yeah. Oh, no, definitely green grass here.
Green, fresh grass. You just cut it and the grass was a little bit wet. So I bag my grass, because I'm not a savage. I don't just throw it in the yard willy-nilly. You know what I'm saying? Let it blow. No, I bag it every time. Make it look sharp. And if the grass is a little bit wet in my bagger, when you smell the 18 and then go a little lower, that wet green grass smell.
The 18 is incredibly clean for an Islay. I mean, even if you compare it to, I'm trying to think of a comparison. This is the cleanest nose I can think of. It's crisp, it's clean, it's refreshing.
Yeah, Laphroaig is medicinal anyway. It's hospital anyway, which comes off, in my mind, I think, clean.
Clean, sterile,
Clean and sterile, right. So it's some of that, but the medicinal notes are toned down, like the ashtray, cigarette ash note.
I don't get any of that.
Isn't the 18, none of that.
I'm not even smelling like smoke on the 18. It's just, I get brine, I get sea, it's coastal, but I don't get...
It's crazy, isn't it?
I get a hint of earthiness, but I don't get smoke. And I know when we get into this, I'm going to taste smoke, but we'll get there. But this is...
Yeah, so again, when I go back to lore, two things are distinct when I go back and forth. The lore is younger, is more grass, and you can tell the cast they use were probably slightly more active.
More active?
That would be my guess.
Yeah, and I'm going to guess more expensive oak.
Oh yeah, because they couldn't age as long.
Well, again, I think there's European sherry butts.
I agree.
I love that. That's a note I look for. I love that spicy European oak. Yeah,
so the Laphroaig cask maturation kind of reminds me of Macallan rare cask, where some really, really excellent casts were used, and then there were things that were just thrown in. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get rid of this, but we'll put some really nice stuff in it, kind of round off the rougher edges.
Yep,
All
absolutely.
right, let's get into the taste. Let's go with the 18 first.
First rule is never actually taste together, but, what we're gonna do.
We both went at the same time. Yeah. Vanilla, super medicinal, TPC, oak, cereals, just again, I've said it before, a beast of a whiskey.
Yeah. I mean, I'm getting everything you're talking about there. And again, it drinks.
Caramel.
Oh, definitely caramel. That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's not a lot of transition or changes in here, but it has a very long, spicy finish. You can tell. Yeah, and it's not. It's more spicy than smoky, but there is definitely some smoke on the finish.
It's kind of like going up the steps, like you know what I mean. Like okay, there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and there's this, and then okay, now I'm at the top of the steps. I can look back and see them all. Mm-hmm. But at first, I had to kind of walk up the stairs in the dark.
This is gonna sound bad, but Mike, this is a snob's daily drinker.
Yeah, this is my daily.
You like old whiskey. You like refinement, but you still want some depth, some richness. Man, that is absolutely what this is. My only one little complaint is it's a little less oily than I like.
For 48%, you're right. It does feel like it's coming off slightly thin at 48%. Because we had that Balvenie 48% week of peat just now. That came off oilier.
Way oilier.
Than this particular one does.
And I think it's because it's a little sharp. Again, I think it's those younger, reused casks that are they're not giving as much richness. And instead, they're kind of giving a little bit of bitterness from the tannins.
This is something I've noticed more and more with Laphroaig. Like I already knew Laphroaig had, say, taller and not as squatty stills as, say, a Lagavulin, right? So I know it wasn't as oily as a Lagavulin. But now I've really, as my whiskey journey has continued, I've really noticed that like Lagavulin and Laphroaig are far more oily, fattier whiskeys than Laphroaig is. Laphroaig feels more smoky, even though it's really not. But like that medicinal smoke, that TPC smoke, makes it a super smoky whiskey, but that doesn't mean it's an oily, dense whiskey, if that makes sense. So I'd almost think that the base Balvenie malt, the base Ardbeg malt, the base Lagavulin malt are denser, oily, more oily whiskeys than Laphroaig is in general. Yeah. So that doesn't shock me, I guess is my point.
Yeah, and again, I think the casks are just kind of doubling down on that.
No, I totally agree.
It's still, again, I'm telling you, this is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's great whiskey. When you said it's a snob's whiskey, I don't know if anyone's really called me a snob, but I mean, you could make that argument, I guess.
You could.
Usually people call it behind my back, so no one says it to my face, but that's probably, you could probably
I say it
make
to your face.
But this and Lagavulin 16 are my two most purchased bottles of whiskey of all time. I bought over 50 or 60 bottles of each one of these individually, because these were, again, my go-to whiskeys that I just had all the time. Now, I see you're jumping into the lore as far as palate. What are you picking up, my friend?
Okay. So this one is a little bit richer, a little heavier. I'm getting the mint, the menthol, the wintergreen. I'm getting that sherry. I'm getting lots of chocolate. I'm getting a lot more smoke here. There's a lot going on in this one right here, Mike. I mean, it has got a little of everything. I mean, it's tannins, a little bitterness. It's got the oak. It definitely has that European oak.
There's that pine needle again. Yeah, and again, the quarter cask, to piggyback with everything you said, pine needles, quarter cask, buttery oak that I always get from buttery, oily oak that I always get from quarter cask.
Oh, coconut. Just
Coconut.
a hint.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's what it is. You know what? And I've said that about the quarter cask Carchus before.
Yeah.
I said coconut.
As soon as you said quarter cask, I was like, that's what that sweetness is.
It's coconut. You're absolutely right. Coconut shavings. Coconut milk almost. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's definitely, the lore is definitely more complex. There's no doubt about that.
There's just more layers to it.
Absolutely. Now, I will again say it comes off younger.
Yeah, I mean, again, I get hints of some age on this one. I get notes that I just can't imagine came from anything less than a 16-plus-year-old whiskey. But I also get notes that make me think 9, 8.
Oh, for sure. 5, 6.
I don't know about that. I'm not getting anything like off the still here.
Okay, so quarter cask is, if I'm remembering this correctly, is 5 years in ex-bourbon. Okay. And then like 9 months in a quarter cask. Okay. I'm getting some of that 6-year-old quarter cask whiskey in this. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Could be. I mean, again, Octomore makes great whiskey at 5 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? Cavalang makes great whiskey at 5 years. I'm not saying that 5 years isn't a Kilhoman. Yeah. I'm not saying 5 years is enough. I'm just saying I recognize that profile.
I guess what I'm getting at is I don't think quarter cask drinks like a 5-year-old whiskey. No. So when I think 5-year-old whiskey, I start to think, are we getting some, what's the word I put here? Am I noticing that it just came off the still? Am I getting some of that ethanol? I'm not getting that here. No, not at all. Well, but again, it all goes to what kind of cask you're using. You know what I'm saying? Cask and cut. Right. So, yeah, right, cask and cut. So, good cut,
quarter casks that were first fill. The whiskeys that maybe had second and third fill aged pretty old in this one.
Yep.
It's been a nice mix. All right, so we add a couple drops of water. We'll speed this one up just a tad bit. You picking up anything really new in the 18?
It's coming off sweeter, a little bit more of like a little more vanilla, a little bit less of the lemon lime. I don't get the lemon lime at all now.
I feel like I'm getting more of the cask now. You know, with a couple drops of water.
Yeah, I'm getting less of like the fermentation, which I'm sure is where that fruitiness came from, was the fermentation.
For sure.
Now this is definitely more just the cask.
Yeah, and more, I think this is just ex-bourbon.
Clean, gentle. Nosing is not excited by the nose on that one right now.
Oh my God, the grass note. The grass and pine needle note.
You know what this actually is giving me a little bit of a reminder of?
What's that?
That Kilkerran 8-year sherry cask that everybody raved about. It's got that like, it's got a similar like recharred, heavily charred sherry note. Only this drink's like twice as old.
Yeah, no, I mean, it does. You know, this is another whiskey where you could do like the Balvenie Ton series where like, all right, we used 15 casks. These are the cask numbers. You know, casks from 6 years to 22 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just give it to me.
Wait, this is more the 15-year Kilkerran than the 8.
Oh, for sure.
The 8's kind of where I first like, I've had that more recently, so I'm reminded of like that sherry note. Yeah, this is very similar to that 15 or the 8. I mean, if you've had either one, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about, is that sherry and kind of burnt wood. Right.
So I say to both back to back. And Dustin, I think I'm ready to make my decision. Okay, so as always, with this Versus series, right? It's not what it costs. The rules are, if someone is picking up the tab at the bar and offers you a drink, drunk guy at the bar, he had a good day. It's Friday, he got a promotion. Or he won a winning lotto ticket.
There you go.
Or he wants to impress the girl he's with. And says, hey man, whatever you want. Either one of these two. On my tab. What are you taking? It's close.
It's incredibly close. And
Closer than I thought it'd be.
here's the thing. There's nights where I want something really nice and refined, and there's nights I want something bold and in my face.
Just spit it out.
And more often than not, I want the refinement, so I'm gonna go 18, but God, it's close.
I cannot believe I'm going to say this because I would not have thought it.
Really?
I like the lower a little bit better tonight. I did not think I would say
And
that.
I'll tell you what, it came down to this, Mike. I just did them back to back, right? The 18 was really soft up front, didn't wow me, kind of disappointed, and then the finish came in, and the finish...
There's no weak point to this whiskey.
The finish was so good on that one, and then I come into this one, and it hits me up front, bold, spices, and just flavor.
Peters out.
But then it petered out, yeah. And I, 5 nights out of 9 with that finish.
I hear you. You know almost a better way to say it? So it's January 21 here when we're doing this review. It's cold outside.
You know what? And you know what? I'll tell you what. Tonight, I think I probably would want that one. But I know come
summer,
fall, spring,
I'll go
probably
with
going 18. So it's close.
Yeah, I will say this. Of all the Versus series we've done, this is probably the closest Versus series I've ever had. Which, again, that's what makes it fun. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie. I was literally in my head sitting here going, oh God, Mike's gonna ask me the question and I'm not gonna have an answer yet. And I thought coming in the 18 was gonna win landslide.
Right. Yeah.
But this one is so much bolder. And you know what? Tonight it's not coming off as much but I've had this different nights, different times. To me, this every now and then brings me back a little bit to Dark Cove. It's like a Dark Cove version where it's got that rich, sweet, kind of over the top sherry note. Tonight it's coming off a little different, but it just depends on the night, the mood I'm in, what I've had before. Sometimes this comes off as a really nice, like, sweet sherry.
Sweet sherry Laphroaig. I've always told you, when it comes to Laphroaig, which I love, as you know, one of my top 5 distilleries as far as bottles I've purchased from the distillery. Or not at the distillery, from the distillery. Laphroaig, their sherry cask maturations are hit and miss for me. Like PX cask, nah. Normal triple wood, But I really like, say, the cartridge triple wood.
Yeah.
Which not everyone did. And I've liked some other sherried versions of Laphroaig, like the 30, even though 43%.
You prefer the 25 over 17 versus the 18,
which was
sherried versus bourbon.
Yeah, so what Dustin's saying is the 2017 version of the 25-year-old was sherry and bourbon. The 2018 was just bourbon.
Yeah.
I preferred the 17. But then again, the 1925, that is also sherry and bourbon, and I prefer the 18 to that one. So it's
Yeah, well, it missed, like you said.
It's hit miss.
Yeah.
I know. I thought it was a Laphroaig. But they're all dancing around saying it again.
Now,
I always thought when I saw that, I was like, oh, for $100, this is nowhere near the 18. I was wrong.
Are you ready for the bad news?
Give it to me.
Discontinued.
Lord?
I believe just happened. I've seen a couple people showing some stuff. I've not seen an official statement from the distillery, so hopefully I'm wrong. But I saw 2 people show me something where it said discontinued. So.
Oh, great. Now we're going to have a third bottle, whatever they replace it with now.
I'm going to have to buy a backup. And actually, after tonight, I'm going to have to buy a backup.
Yeah, I might, Laphroaig's I guess I might have to get another lure.
Yeah, I mean, and $120 is the worst price I've seen on them. So
I know.
They're getting a little hard to find in Ohio for some reason. And that's been a thing for a while.
We'll go to OHLQ, the website, and we'll check it out.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's some still ones around here.
There's a few, but it's like you can't just go to your store and pick it up anymore. It used to be it was just at the store. I mean, there's times I go to the stores and I can't even see it. There's not a Laphroaig. And I mean, I'm talking like the good size stores here in Ohio. It's weird. I'm telling you guys, the work we put in to get whiskey is ridiculous.
Yeah, almost feels like a job sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Labor of love, so to speak. Anyway, that's where we're at. We're basically at a dead even heat here. I mean, Dustin said he preferred the 18. I guess tonight I'd prefer the lore. Another day in warmer weather, I might prefer the 18, but this is where we're at as far as today.
Yep.
Let us know what you guys think if you had both of them. I was surprised with this outcome, to say the least. And, we want once again, thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think in the comments section. And Dustin, until next time, what do we wish the folks?
Happy drinking.
See you then.